needs to put the signature.
Just signature.
Yes. So it's a health and safety checklist. So we need to make sure it's a safety in place when you do your placement.
And where we have to put this paper after? Bring here?
Yes. So I'll put the deadline next week Sunday. It's the deadline to bring this form back. Okay.
Next week.
Заключи вас.
I think we have
This
online
could
because
have
we
been
received the
Excuse me.
On the 5th next week is gonna be our Easter, so we don't think we're gonna come to school.
Will you be here on Saturday, the 4th?
Saturday, when is Sunday?
4th of May.
Probably.
You don't have to submit on this date. If you finish this by tomorrow, for example, you can take a photo and you can send it to the email.
Ah, okay.
Okay? So by this date, you can send it by email. Or you can give it to me on Saturday, Sunday when you're back. Okay?
Yeah.
Also, just to clarify, there is no online class.
We suppose here one teacher from
What are the links?
So first of all, if you look over here, you've seen this man last week. This is Mr. Osmani. He's the director and manager for the placement. So if there is any concerns regarding your placement, negotiation, if your manager is not approving, either myself, Shazib or Mr. Usmani, we will be there to support you with your placement, okay? And Mr. Usmani works in London, but he occasionally does travel towards Birmingham Campus to support you guys. This is the both of us, Shazib and myself. We are the placement officers. We've got the London team. We have Rima, Kushbu and Manthan. They work for the London campus. Now the main objective for this presentation is that we give you the guidance on how to fill these forms in, because with the previous cohorts we've noticed that students either are not understanding what they need to fill in, or which part is for their employers, or they're just missing things, and we have to go back to them saying that this form is invalid because you've missed some information. For example, you forget to put signatures, you forget to put your name, you forget to put the date. So these are important things to consider when we give you forms and when you submit them. Now, term 1, if you remember, we asked you to give us the current information about your employment. So where you're working, what you're doing, and your responsibilities, and whether you're working part-time, full-time, that kind of information. Now that we're in term 2, you're soon to start placement during these 2 dates, the 23rd of July and the 23rd of August. Between that time, you can choose when you want to start your placement. So if it takes you 5 days to complete placement, for example, you might start on the 23rd of July and you might finish on the 28th of July. So that is the flexibility on you, that you can choose the dates. So it doesn't mean that you start on this date and you finish on that date. That is just a guide that within those 2 dates, you can start and finish, okay? Moving forward.
Excuse me, what's the date of the leave? Like the one?
This one?
Yes.
This is 5th of May, next week, Sunday. So if you have given us your employment information, and if I give you today this form, I need this form back by next week, Sunday. Yes.
Self-employed, alright?
So what are you, self-employed?
Yes.
So we will talk about that later then, okay?
Alright.
We will discuss with you. Now, so this is just a brief guide. In level 4, which you are right now in, you'll be doing 50 hours. But hopefully when you success into level 5 into next year, you'll be doing 150 hours. So use this time right now to kind of think about how you manage your time and how the task you are working on, how you're doing it. So for example, time management skills and other communication skills that you want to build on, because when you do placement in level 5 and you only have 150 hours to complete, obviously it's a large amount of hours. So use this time now to train yourself how you might do it next year, because it will be more hours. Now this is just a brief overview that students who have a current job already, we encourage you guys to do your placement within your current employment. This is because you've built that relationship with your managers, and you might be able to negotiate a better job role for within that company. And most of the times, managers are happy to have you guys doing placement with additional job responsibilities. And it's a good thing because if your manager can see you're able to do those extra responsibilities, they might take you onto a permanent job role, which can benefit you, including your salary as well. Moving forward, so we know we have some students who are not working at all, and that is completely fine. We will support you guys in finding a placement, so we'll help you do some researching skills. We might be able to find some voluntary roles for you where you can do 50 hours or the 150 hours next year. But placement is important because if you don't do placement, you will fail the module and you won't be able to go ahead. So please do consider, if you're not working, to do the research or go out and find places where you can do placement. At the end of the whole process, if you're not able to find placement, we will encourage you to do a professional challenge. You will be given a surprise topic and you need to do your research and presentation on that. So that is the end option for you, which is called the professional challenge. And you will be working in a group of 4 students. So if we only have, for example, 2 students doing no placement at all, we will kind of have to choose 2 additional people randomly in the same group to do the presentation. So you could be doing placement, but you might be forced to do the professional challenge because we need that amount of students in one session. So now let's go on to the forms. So we have 4 with placement, and this is an annotated part of the presentation. So you need to put in the name of your company where you will do the placement, the name of the manager, manager's official job title. So it could be they might be a manager, but the proper job role might be assistant manager, assistant director, but they might be a manager to you because that's how you know them. So please confirm what their actual designation is in the company, and all the other information you need about the company. Please do fill them in. This is the important part about you. So when we approve your placement, we might have approved it for team leader or any other job role such as manager, assistant manager, secretary, whatever your job role is. Make sure you mention the job role that we have on file. Do not put anything different because then we will not be accepting the form. Additional to that, you need to tell us what responsibilities you will be doing in placement. If you leave the bullet points blank, we will not accept the form and it will be invalid. And the bottom is also very important. We need to know when you're going to start placement and we need to know when you're going to finish. The next one is saying placement completion date. So sometimes if you tell us, I'm going to do placement in 5 days, I start on the 23rd, I finish on the 28th. Sometimes you're not able to manage it and you need to take more days. So on the bottom of the placement completion date, you put the actual date when you complete placement. So it could be after the date you told us, which is completely fine. But make sure it's within the placement block. If it's over this date, then we cannot accept it. Sure.
Okay, like Mr. Rouge mentioned, job title has to be graduate level job title.
Yes.
Yeah. This is important because this information you will take it to form number 3. The log is
Yes.
form number 3. So she's going to talk about form number 3 in a bit. Whatever you put here, these will be my responsibilities in my placement. From here you will put on job log that today I completed this job, this task, today I completed this task. So this has to match with form 3. That's why you have to complete it carefully. And we will be here to help you. The placement team will be here to help you. If you need support, we can help you address these questions over here or these bullets. But of course, this needs to match with what you will be doing during your placement and on your log. If tasks here are different than your log, this means you haven't fulfilled what was required, right? So make sure this matches. So that's why it's important to complete it and complete it properly.
Moving forward, so just a short sentence why it's important. The employee's agreement serves as an official agreement between you and your employer that you're doing placement. So let's just consider it as a contract. You might have your own contract with the placement, with your company that you're working in. Consider this as your placement contract, okay? So having the signatures and the health and safety checks is important, so we know the health and safety is completely fine for you at your workplace. This part of the checklist needs to be filled by your employer, so do not take it yourself. your employer needs to fill it, and at the bottom make sure your employer is signing and dating and putting their designation as well, so their position. Otherwise the form will be invalid. So name, position, signature and date. So now moving forward to form number 3. This is the hours log sheet. As Mr. Wakash has mentioned, whatever task you put over here at the bullet points, it needs to match on the hours log sheet. Of course, you will have many more tasks you're doing, but the main responsibilities that you mention over here, please mention it on your hours log sheet as well, so we know whether you successfully completed your responsibilities or not. So make sure you put the date, make sure how many hours you're completing. So just a zooming in section of the top part of the hours log sheet. You need to put your name. You put whether you're completing 50 hours and 150 hours. Guys, can you please focus? Thank you. And placement manager. Guys, excuse me, can you please focus? Then we can talk, please, okay? Now,
What's that one?
the placement manager is the manager who will be supervising you. Please put their name over there. Again, student placement job title, make sure it's matching. Whatever you put over here, it needs to match on across all other documents, including the start and finish date. If anything is not matching up, the form will be invalid and we will not be accepting it. And you will have to fill it in again, and it might make your manager not be happy to fill the forms in again and again. Okay, so please fill it in as best as you can. Now, this is a zoomed in version of the hours log sheet. You put in the date. So for example, the first date where you were doing placement, for example, 23rd of July, you did a task, maybe you were auditing or doing compliance checks. You put that in, and you also put in how many hours you have completed that day. So you could be doing 8 hours, you could be doing less, you could be doing more. So that is on you how your shift is kind of designed for you. And at the progress, at the last column, Y means yes, N means no. So have you made progress, yes or no? And you need to put it for each task, so we know whether you're making any progress or not, okay? And at the bottom of the page, again, we need your signature and your manager's signature. If we don't have any signature and we don't have any date, we will not be accepting the form. So can we please make sure your manager is signing all the documents? And the importance behind this log sheet is because it's a record, it's an official statement saying that you have done placement, and it also tells us how many hours you did each day. And this is something we will use to pass or fail your module. So please make sure you fill that in correctly. Now we have the last form.
In this 4 pages, and just signature has to be of the manager. In every page or in every page?
So it's not like filling your manager something out and you just fill it up. You just
He just have to give signature.
No, so there is health and safety that the manager needs to take and sign. It's the hours log sheet that they need to sign, and it is also the placement feedback report that they need to completely fill. So you cannot give feedback on your own, because that is then called a reflection.
So like
This is something your manager needs
So
to do.
something he has to
Last
say,
one.
right?
so like
Yes.
The last feedback form has to be by manager, completed and signed. Before that,
After, can you show which page for manager? What have to we know?
yeah, sure.
Do by mistake
Yeah,
alone?
Step by step, we will guide you.
Okay.
But for now, just understand there are 3 forms that you need to do.
Okay.
Is it 3 forms?
Yes. So it was first called 4 forms, but now 1 and 2 is merged together. So it's 3 is
Well, I was a social